The ghosts of the past rear their heads as Alexandria is assaulted by continual waves of walkers, and Alpha demands payback for violating her borders. Plus, it really reinforces the importance of a good night's sleep. It's The Walking Dead, Season 10, Episode 3. Ghosts. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of The Walking Dead. So yes, of course, all the spoilers coming your way. Plus, do want to remind you about our quick jump index system. Right down in the description below, we'll have this entire review titleized, codified, time-stamped. Watch the end of the review first. Watch this beginning last. Watch this review in any order you'd like. All right, so the episode itself, good. I have to say, really good, surprisingly so. I'm kind of in a mixed space, to be perfectly honest, because while I enjoyed a lot of what this episode brought, I like some of the storytelling, I like some of the acting, I like some of the switch-arounds, they did just some really nice stuff. I'm also, I don't know, I find myself kind of catching like, where are we going? And I'm not sure if maybe that's just me. Maybe the question is that I got to start asking is, what is it that I want out of this show? What is it that I'm expecting? Because like I said, the past few episodes, they've been good. They've been good storytelling. We got some great character work. Really did like tonight, and at least I feel like the action's moving forward. But also we're 3 episodes in and not a whole lot, at least, versus whispers are happening. And maybe we're doing our slow build. Maybe that's the second half of the season. We got to get all of our ducks in a row and everybody's got to deal with the sort of trauma of dealing with the whispers, which is a lot of stuff that we're dealing with in tonight's episode. But it's just, again, I don't know. I'm not drawing any conclusions. I just have to say, I've got sort of a 1 foot in, 1 foot out feel. I like what's happening, and yet I'm waiting for some meat to happen. I'm waiting for something else. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to start asking sort of what is it that I want out of this show? And maybe that's sort of a bigger question all of us can ask as we're watching. What is it that we expect out of this show? But the episode itself, like I said, really good. Loved the opening bit. As the hours are tracking and these never-ending waves of walkers are assaulting. And I love how quickly we push through it. Hour 1, hour 3, hour 6, hour 9, hour 10, you know, just seeing these attacks, each character kind of like, you know, getting up, ready to fight. The next shot, they're fighting walkers. And the next shot, hours later, we're looking at somebody else. And then they're fighting walkers. The exhaustion that they sort of set up with this, I thought it was beautifully done. If any of you have ever seen the old Battlestar Galactica, or the newer Battlestar Galactica, not the 77, but the 2000 ones, the first episode they had 33 minutes. Felt a lot like this. That's when the Cylons are attacking every 33 minutes. They arrive wherever the Battlestar is, and then they've got to get everybody up on board the ship, retrieve all the fighters, and leap to do another sublight leap into another place. And then 33 minutes later, the Cylons show up. So it's this very visceral, exhausting idea. As an aside, something I think that should have been done in The Last Jedi for you Star Wars fans. As opposed to fuel running out, if they just had the Empire constantly appearing and the ships having to constantly jump to a new section of space and work that kind of exhaustion, I think that would have worked so much better in that film. But we're not getting into that here. That's not what we're about. I did love how they set that up, and it continued to play through all of the fears, because again, ghosts, we're dealing with the ghosts of the past. Everyone is dealing with it. Carol is dealing with the ghosts of her past and the kids and the losses that she's suffered. We have Aaron and Negan dealing with Aaron, dealing with the loss of Eric and the anger of having to deal with Negan. Negan dealing with the ghosts of his own past, who he used to be. Sadiq dealing with the ghosts of his encounters with the Whisperers. Daryl's got a nice ghost story in the midst of this. I mean, there's a lot of great ideas of these ideas floating ahead of us, and with the exhaustion dealing with that, I think brings everything up to the fore. So I think it was a really great way of framing this episode and allowing everything else to happen reflecting constantly back on this. Everybody has stuff they've got to deal with. Everybody has stuff they've got to get over with. Everybody has stuff they have to confront. And stress and exhaustion and fear, terror, panic will bring all of those to the fore. So I guess in some ways best to deal with them now before the S really hits the fan. So, of course, in the midst of these onslaughting waves of walkers, we have Gamma showing up with a message to come to the northern border. Alpha wants to meet, which, of course, brings everyone's fears coming forward. Interesting idea that the waves of walkers are not alphas. And I think they deal with that pretty quickly. One, Gamma just flat out says, that's not us. Two, the questions with Lydia, and we're seeing how some of the future stresses are going to be weighing on Lydia here with this, as the town is asking her, Michonne specifically, is this her? And I think Lydia was very straightforward in the answer and very clear, is no. She wouldn't send waves, she'd send the entire horde, tens of thousands, from what Daryl was reporting of what he remembered seeing in their numbers. So this is not Alpha's... Sending small waves constantly at is not Alpha's bit. Though, again, stressful. Where are they coming from? We haven't said, and maybe that's something they're going to deal with a little bit more. They do imply that this is possibly from the satellite fall. So we're going to see some continuing consequences of this particular act. Is the fireball, the walkers see it, then they start coming forward. And so as this is, Alexandria's kind of near the landing zone, I'm guessing. I mean, we don't have a full specific, and it was on the other side of the border, but how far is that from Alexandria? It kind of makes sense. Slow waves, varying groups, some tight, some spread out, coming from different directions, exhausting. You know, maybe they find the road something else. I mean, I can see where it would draw walkers maybe into the area. It does seem to be specifically heading towards Alexandria, so maybe this is a whole nother antagonistic group that we're going to deal with. Who it is at this moment doesn't really matter. It's something the town has to deal with, but have to confront Alpha. And another very nice scene. I loved when the highwayman, the girl defending the highwayman, is like, we need revenge, we need to go after. And I loved Michonne throwing right in their face, okay, great. Well, what's your plan for dealing with these tens of thousands of walkers? I'll wait. It's one of those great leaders. This is Michonne showing a lot of leadership, and she does it brilliantly through this episode. Yes, I understand the feelings that you all have, everybody mad at Alpha. But you have to deal with the reality of the situation, and just going off half-cocked, assaulting Alpha, even if you kill them, the rest of the Whisperers could unleash the horde onto Alexandria, so that's not really a solution. And I love Michonne dealing with that. Even the whole confrontation that we got with Alpha in the group, again, very creepy, very nice. Just forcing the group to stand by the pikes, headless pikes at least. Definitely creepy enough. But then we get the walkers coming by, and the group peeling off, just wandering, and then slowly the Alpha just peels off the mask. It was just, really, mood-wise, they're doing a great job. And I love that Alpha knows all the 3 times they've crossed the border. They tried to play it off. Hey, it was a fire. We had to go in. We have to say. Alpha not caring. I mean, at least we thought that there might be some, like, feeling of understanding about the fire. It's like, fire's natural. Happens. Burns things out. My side, your side, I don't care. But you've crossed our border 3 times. In the winter, and to fight the fire, and to come check out. I mean, it's just the fact that she knows all 3 times. Have they left a Whisperer back to sort of watch things? Entirely possible. Always watching. It's just great because it reminds of this ever-present fear that the Whisperers put out on Alexandria, and how much Michonne is really dealing with that. Even when Carol, we will get into a whole Carol story, loses it and pulls the gun on her. It's Michonne that knocks it down and apologizes. I mean, first off, Alpha pushed, okay? She did. Oh, it's lost the kid. Not until I leave, until this one kneels down and stares down at my feet. Oh, you lost your kid. Oh, you was screaming your name when he died. I mean, really, just not a smart thing to do with Carol. Even if she wasn't, like, hyped up on caffeine pills. She would probably have reacted this way. But good for Michonne to block that out and then deal with Alpha. I apologize. This was a mistake. But you know what she's been through. Again, she's not kowtowing to Alpha, and I think that's sort of an important thing. She's not just kneeling down and letting her do whatever it is. But she's directly dealing with the, look, I don't want a confrontation, but don't push things. You know what she's been through. You pushed her into this moment. So I thought all of that was really handled very well. So again, it sets up that fear of the walkers, the fact that we could demand death, but we're going to take land. We're going to squeeze you into an even smaller area. Again, it's like, is that mercy on Alpha's part, or is this sort of her long-term plan, is to just wait for them to violate things, wait for stuff to go on, and use that fear to slowly box them in? Not entirely sure, but like I said, it does set things up very, very well. It keeps the fear of the Whispers, keeps their mystery, keeps their control up, but also doesn't let everyone else, doesn't have the Alexandrians bending down to their will. There's still going to be conflict. Just right now, until they at least find a way to deal with the tens of thousands of walkers that they have, they gotta kind of negotiate. And Alpha does sort of have the upper hand. And she's got a point. They did violate the borders. Could have asked for death. Could have asked for Carol's death. Just wants land. Not a horrible deal. So yeah, let's dive into Carol's whole bit. Because, I mean, it's a very major arc throughout this episode. She is the one that sort of starts the episode off with her little alarm going off and pill popping. Which was cool. Kind of raised some questions. One for me, why does she need an alarm? She's been out doing the whole on the ship thing. I would imagine that she would just be naturally waking up at a specific time. And what's with the pills? Is she sick? Is she feeling okay? Where'd she find the meds? Some early questions. But of course we do find out later on, those were caffeine pills she's popping. And the alarm is to remind her when her next dose is due. Because sleep, not coming very well for her. Seeing some nightmares for sure. You can't expect it. The Whisperers are back. She is Henry's loss still weighs over on her. And in fact, several losses weigh over on her on this. So we get to sort of see how slowly she starts falling apart. Her mental state starts separating. I mean, I totally understand her trying to kill Alpha. When she tell Michonne, bitch gotta die. It's a very simple statement. Very clear. And for good reason. But that can't happen right now, as Michonne has said, Tens of thousands of walkers doing what the highwayman asked, just certain for revenge, isn't what this time is for. Not at the moment. Certainly not while Alexandria is being overrun by constant waves of walkers. But seeing Carol slowly fall apart, honestly, it's one of my favorite parts of the episode. Does she see whispers in the woods? Is she chasing ghosts of her own? It's a good question. I mean, obviously we find at the end, yeah, there was at least one that she was chasing that was right. But it brings up a lot of great questions. And the whole scenes in the school, I thought, beautifully set up. I mean, first of all, school, creepy. I would have think that after all of these years, Alexandria would sort of have all of the structures in the immediate area sorted out, cleared out and everything. And maybe they have. They've looked at this. But they have to go and look now, just in case the Whispers are hiding out in there. But it really gives us our great creepy moments. First off, yeah, the home ec book was so beautifully done. I mean, even the setup on this, when Darrow kind of looks through the one window and he kind of pulls away, it's clear. You get the idea there's something in there. He just doesn't want Carol to see it. When Carol looks down and pulls up the home ec book and just, beautiful image. If you guys didn't catch, of course, what she sees is herself, Carol, right, delivering some food, and all of her dead kids. We got Sophia right next to her. Then we got Mika and Lizzie, also dead. Then we got Henry, and we got little Sam. Remember Sam, who's tortured? Tell anybody, and I'm going to tie you up, and the walker's going to eat you. Here, have a cookie. Just remember Sam with cookies. So, yes, Carol, well known, not a good track record with kids. And with all the hauntings of Henry really kind of pushing and reaffirming throughout this episode, I think that was handled really well. But it was just a great, creepy, super creepy image right there of all of the kids that she has lost. Again, these are all the ghosts that are coming up in her mind now. The reasons why she's lashing out so much at Alpha. We get Daryl's wonderful ghost story. Talking about his dad. Dad was a trucker, driving out one night, kid walks from the board, but there was no kid there. He'd been up for too long. I mean, it's sort of a great way. It's a great character bit. I love the interactions with Carol and Daryl. Always have. And now it is really such a family unit there. There is such a closeness. I really appreciate how these two actors and characters can sort of play off of each other. Which, again, sort of reiterates a lot of this continual ghosts things and suspicions that Daryl has. But really what that does is lead us to our Scene of the Week for this week, and that is, of course, the follow-up. After Carol keeps popping pills, and she kind of blacks out for a while, and Daryl wakes her up. Where have you been? You've been gone for a half hour. She's thinking she went back to the place. She saw Henry behind the door, which of course was going to be my fear. She's going to go in, and what Daryl saw was a walker kid that's going to wake up. I mean, she even sees that before it turns around. I mean, again, it all plays very well. But when she responds to Daryl about waking up being gone for a half hour is, I'm not seeing ghosts, I'm not like your trucker dad. My dad wasn't a trucker. Done so simply. That's what I'm saying, this one small little bit. There's a lot of moments in this episode that I like, but this is perfect because it puts into question everything else that Carol has seen. Every bit, whether it be the walker, whether it be the whispers, the kids. Obviously, we know she didn't really see the home ec book, but everything that's happened. I mean, she had a whole conversation with Daryl that never happened. It's just, it really perfectly sums up the mental degradation that she is going through, how much that she is falling apart. And the fact that the advice that she got about the importance of sleep happened to her in her own mind, and it wasn't something that Daryl said. There's just so many layers to that. It was really just, again, a simply done scene whose effect was perfect because it reverberates everything that happens before and everything that happens after. Even when she goes out and she finds the whisperer finally and steps into that trap and gets pulled up in the air. A very complex trap to set up very quickly. And she slashes the face, and then the walkers all come up, and she can't pull herself up, and she's lifting and stabbing, finally cuts and impales her arm and gets up, and then, boom, we jump forward again, where she's just standing there amongst a whole bunch of walkers. Did that happen the way that she remembered it? Did it not? We don't know, and that's the great thing about it. I mean, yes, she did have her arm punctured, which is what happened when she landed. So that sort of seems to reinforce the theory and the idea. And we do get a subsequent kind of dream sequence when she gets back to Alexandria, seeing Daryl making breakfast down and giving her cash to go down and get jam. Again, I love these two together. It's just, they carry it forward. It's not just a one simple shot of the hallucinations. It really does continue to appear, and it gives us to ask those questions. How much of what she saw did she really see? I mean, she's convinced she saw whisperers. And Daryl, of course, believes her, or says that he does. But I did love that by the end, we do get that final shot from inside the gym and then going out the trail of blood. And then we, of course, do see the whisper that she did get wake up all Walker-fied. So just a beautifully done sequence showing really the PTSD, the guilt, the ghosts that are haunting Carol, and again, the importance of sleep. You don't get enough sleep, you hallucinate. It just happens. And in a Walker-filled world, that could be a really bad thing. All right, another one being haunted by the ghosts of the past is Aaron, with his loss of Eric so many years ago, and now he is stuck with a man he kind of blames for it, and rightfully so, Negan. Great initial setup scene, by the way, between Gabriel trying to get Negan and Aaron to come together. Aaron, you need a fighter. Negan, you're a fighter. Peanut butter, meat jelly. Glad you're together now. Just because, I mean, we're seeing kind of, again, a real interesting change here. One, Negan feels a little neutered at this point. I know that he's been in jail for a long time, and he did get out and see that his whole life was gone, and it's kind of changed his perspective in life. But he's not an idiot. Again, he's observant. He understands the tension that's going around. And then him being out there fighting amongst with people of high tension, that's going to bring attention his way, which could mean him dying, which is not something that he's really into being killed. It's not Negan's thing. So more than happy to stay down. Aaron, of course, doesn't want Negan with him. Who would, to be honest? Who would really trust Negan at this point? But people have a opportunity to change. So the whole two of them dealing with their own ghosts, I thought was a great bit. Again, we've got Aaron really being haunted by the loss of Eric here, the love of his life. And here he's stuck with a guy who's kind of behind it. And it progresses, I think, really nicely. We get just the regular fights and using the staff, and then Negan finding the crowbar, getting bat direction, you could feel. Aaron having none of it, and that being kind of a point of conflict. And Negan's played incredulousness about this, I think only serves to really incite Aaron's emotions. Because Negan's playing it off like, what are you talking about? Man, this is dumb. I get this. I need the protection. Why am I out here? Why are we doing this thing? You want me to leave? That's great. That's the best thing that you have ever said. I am all with you. I mean, again, Negan feeling a little neutered here. He's not being the tough guy that he is, but I think he understands very clearly what his position in the community is. And Aaron, I think I understand him not trusting Negan, but when you're being assaulted by waves of walkers, yeah, a stick may not just cut it. Maybe you need to let him graduate into something a little bit more powerful. Certainly becomes helpful later on. And I just love how they, not only seeing the honesty and exhaustion, as we see, does lead to a certain level of honesty. But Aaron, and I'm sorry, I've got some construction going on next door here. I don't know how long that's going to get. I hope it's not too loud for you. For me, man, it's like super loud here. But I love just, like I said, the progression of the bit. I love Aaron pushing Negan about his loss. And Negan kind of pushing back a little bit about his philosophy. In the world, you have to protect what you have. Or what you have is soon going to belong to somebody else. It's a simple philosophy. I can see where that would sort of guide the saviors during their time. Very harsh. And I think Aaron points that out very perfectly. So what you're saying is Eric dying is my fault. Okay, so your wife dying is your fault. It's not something Negan wants to hear. So again, pushing back and forth very nicely. Until, of course, it gets to the whole scene where, look out behind you, Aaron gets attacked by walkers, gets stuff all in his eyes, can't see, and Negan disappears. So we get our chase scene. Now in the cabin, that's one thing where I started getting a little annoyed. Aaron is being played a little stupidly lately. Episode 1, he went and rushed across the bridge against the walkers without thinking, almost got grabbed. Now he's blind, stumbling into a cabin looking for Negan and making all sorts of noise. I mean, if there weren't walkers around already, he's definitely drawing them all in. This is not something that Aaron should be doing. He was the scout. He knew how to be quiet. He was smart. I don't like this happening. There are a few choices that happen, I'll hit the other one later on, of character decisions that I don't entirely agree with. And of course it does bring in the walkers, and yes, Negan does come in and save him. And he does lie. It's not the light that drew him in. Negan was sitting inside the place watching Aaron stumble around and make all of this noise. But I think his lie was important. I don't think it was a deceptive. I don't think this is Negan trying to get in. I think the fact is that Aaron couldn't hear the truth. As much as Negan was trying to be straight with him about what they're dealing with and where he was, and that he's not the same person, and that he has changed, Aaron was not in a space to deal with that. Negan rescuing Aaron was really the only way that could happen, that Aaron might take a moment to be able to think this through and accept the fact that change might have happened. We're not talking these two are going to be closest buddies. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that Negan's lie about being drawn in by the light and everything, I think that there was a good reason for that. Sometimes little white lies serve a larger, bigger purpose. And Negan does want to protect Aaron. He does want to be part of the group. He did watch out. And I love how he's got the crowbar. They're like, okay, I got the crowbar here now. And of course, Aaron recovered his eyesight, which is nice, so they could kind of move forward in a positive sense. But again, I love them sort of dealing and hacking out their certain things. Also, what was that? Hogweed? That's what dripped into Aaron's eye and sort of temporarily blinded him. Thankfully, temporarily. We saw that was what Negan was responding to when he was attacked by the walkers outside before their little breakup. And he was looking down at the burn of his arm. He wasn't bit or anything. That was the hogweed, which he says can cause inflammation and such like that. So, again, they give us a little hint. They pay that off going forward. But I love where they ended up with it. Maybe Negan's change can start to be accepted by the people around him. And really, they want Negan on their side in what's coming forward. All right, we had a couple more ghosts of the past revering up. Let's talk Eugene and Rosita, who spent the past couple of days staying up, fighting off walkers, and finally, as it cascades out, getting a moment of reprieve where they could actually relax. Where exhaustion sort of allows to certain levels of honesty, which spills to the Eugene is here to protect Rosita with the hopes that at some point Rosita is going to see him and they can have the relationship that Eugene long wants. Which, I have to say, annoys the crap out of me. I thought that they had dealt with all of the Eugene-Rosita feelings and stuff last season. And seeing that Gabriel was a better fit and sort of a better man, I like the idea where Eugene could move on from Rosita. And it felt like, I mean, yeah, look, admittedly, it's a little weird having him as the sort of nursing mom caretaker thing for the baby inside the household with Gabriel and Rosita, and then we even have Sadiq coming in once in a while to deal with things. I mean, yeah, okay, that's weird. But I could see that at least would be an interesting shift from Eugene to their level of friendship. I mean, because even that becomes the point of contention when Rosita's like, we're never going to be this way. What, our friendship means nothing? And for Eugene saying that, like, no, friendship's actually based on the fact that hopefully we'd sleep together one day. Effectively, that's what he said. And that he can't deal with a friendship or that possibility isn't out. I think it's a step backwards for the character. I liked where they had gone. I liked that there could be a thing. I even liked the idea that maybe through this, Eugene could find someone else and start to develop a different type of relationship. Maybe that's the break they're trying to make, but I just think this idea that Eugene's whole purpose here has still been some underlying hope that they would get together afterwards, that she would see the light. It's been 10 years after the apocalypse. You think they'd have gotten past all this stuff. And I just feel that it was a step backwards. And it's one of the things that really just annoyed me. Between Aaron being stupid and Eugene stepping back into this whole I still love you Rosita thing, those were two little choices I didn't like in the episode. And lastly, of course, we have Siddiq, who is dealing with some serious PTSD of dealing with the whispers beforehand. So much so that he can't even do surgery. Which again, we're seeing these larger effects. However, I love that the new doc was cool. Stepped in quietly. Let me just do this. You do that. No, I can do it. No, you can't. Our first introduction in episode 1, he's talking about them being gods. Just, I wouldn't say douchey, but kind of. But I really like the shift. I really like the fact that whatever his active personality might be, his heart is still in the right place. I mean, he's a doctor. I'm not saying that makes you a good person. But being cool with Siddiq, even covering for him. Oh yeah, Siddiq, you took care of it. Yeah, everything is fine. He doesn't say that he steps in. I really enjoy. And even he gets a little ghost story of himself when he brings the drinks out to Siddiq and tells the story that, hey, he used to be a combat medic. And people can be tough until they aren't. And the Adonis leader, squad leader, that lost all of his men and then, could deal with everything and then completely fell apart. And that person is me. Adonis, huh? Well, at least 10 years beforehand, his body could have changed. And maybe it was a completely made-up story. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It's the connection that he was making with Siddiq right there. And the fact that he was, again, while playing as an active personality kind of guy, big personality, his heart's in the right place. And I'm really starting to enjoy this new side character. I'll even probably go look up his name later, but not now. All right, just a couple of small things. Actually, let's hit on Siddiq and everyone there. His buddy brings out drinks, of course. Siddiq doesn't drink, sniffs at it, but puts it down. He's a Muslim. He's not supposed to drink alcohol. I mean, technically, I guess he could drink mead. You can't drink it from, you can't drink beer, you can't drink wine, you can't drink any of those types of distillaments. If anyone's ever seen the 13th Warrior, it does appear that you can drink mead because it's from honey. Just a little side note. But I love that fact. I was curious if Siddiq was actually going to drink it because when he was religion, he's not supposed to. And he doesn't. He just sniffs it and puts it down. The point of the whole matter there was really the bonding between the two of them. But it was just a cool little side bit that I enjoyed. I love that Aaron has taken the most use out of his lost arm to be able to have detachable, replaceable weapons. What was it Negan say? Putting the stump to good use? Negan does need to work on his personality skills still. He's still a smart ass. But I did love that. He's changing tops and putting the spiked ball on there and everything. It's, again, you're maximizing your limitations there. I enjoy it. And, I'm a big tech guy, so swapping out weapons on your arm, I love it. I also really liked Michonne's reply, I think was to Siddiq, who asked how she was doing. She hasn't had any sleep either. Her response, I'm a mother. Lack of sleep is a baseline. That's true. You could just say parent. Siddiq should in fact know a little bit more about that, I would think. Alright, well I think we're just going to go ahead and wrap things up then. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me with this review. And as usual, if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, and comments, throw those down in the section below. What do you guys think about this episode? What do you think about the whole lack of sleep bit? Do you think Aaron and Negan are sorting their things out? Are we going to be able to move forward with this character? And more to the point, what are you guys expecting out of this show? What do you guys want to see out of this season? I just sort of want to get a baseline. Where everybody's feeling. Are you enjoying the season so far? Is it working for you? Is there something else that you want to see? And if so, what is that? Let me know. Throw your thoughts down in the section below. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. Please subscribe. Catch all these reviews. We're also doing final season of Mr. Robot, plus The Mandalorian, Star Wars coming up next month. Don't miss any of that if you're a subscriber. Do that by clicking this button right here. And we'll throw up a couple of our latest reviews right here for you to check out. So, that's going to be it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.